What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, trainer turned colorful analyst, legendary Teddy Atlas, weighs in on the mega showdown, the unification showdown that took place this past Saturday night between then two-time junior middleweight WBC world champion superstar boxer Jermell Lions Only Charlo and unified Dominican Republic world champion superstar boxer Jeison Rosario, Banana Rosario, right? This fight saw Jermell Charlo ultimately drop Jeison Rosario 3 times in the fight and stop him in the 8th round, early in the 8th round, as I predicted it would take place. Now, Teddy Atlas predicted that the knockout would take place in the 9th round of this fight. I predicted that the knockout would take place in the 8th round of this fight, right? So Teddy Atlas, he believes that, Jeison Rosario folded. There's a lot of people that feel like the fight was fixed. There's a lot of people that are saying that Jeison Rosario took a dive. But Teddy Atlas has a whole different outlook. Teddy Atlas feels that Jeison Rosario mentally folded and quit in the fight. He says that he took a lot of big shots in this fight. He says he was frustrated. He says he even gave Jeison Rosario 4 rounds straight in the fight, leading up into the second knockdown. He was knocked down in the first round. He says then he gave him the next 4 rounds. He says he seemed like he fought back. He said he definitely came in this fight fully prepared. He was definitely in this fight to take the belt from Jermell Charlo. He says he was fully focused, he was in shape, and he was prepared. But one thing he was not prepared for was the mental pressure that it is in these big fights and when you're facing other champions that refuse to fold. So he says that, he was hitting Jermell Charlo with some big punches, especially to the body. Some beautiful combinations. He said that, and he was doing it fairly easy, staying behind his jab and setting up the straight right hand. And when he got in close, throwing ferocious hooks to the body. So he says that, he was definitely prepared. He says, but his will was broken after being knocked down the second time. He says, so when people ask me, have I ever seen anything like this ending to this fight with a jab to the solar plex and the fight being stopped? He says, I've never seen anybody react that way. But sometimes when you subconsciously in the back of your mind already giving up, your body can react just based off of your mind already closing up shop. He says it's kind of like myself. Sometimes I'm driving, I subconsciously want to go to a certain place, and then I just end up there, and I'm like, wait a minute, how did I get here? He says because subconsciously your mind take over, and it dictates where the body goes, how the body reacts. So he says after that second knockdown, Jeison Rosario seemed completely deflated. He says he don't believe that the fight was fixed, that Jeison Rosario took a dive. He said, but subconsciously, he quit after the second knockdown. He says, you got to dig deep on this level. It's a struggle. It's not easy. You got to dig deep. You got to behave like a champion. He says Jeison Rosario initially was behaving like a champion after the first knockdown, and you're saying to yourself, wow, I'm already behind 2 points on the scorecards and the fight just started. He said that's mental pressure. He said physically he was in shape. He said, but mentally, I don't believe he was prepared for what was at stake, for what was to come, for every outcome. So he says that in the 8th round, when he was dropped, now he don't know what was internal that took place physically with Jeison Rosario, and he can't truly say. But he's never seen a guy respond to a body shot to the solar plex. Then he goes on to say, and he wanted to clarify that the punch landed in the lower abdomen area, not in the solar plex. He says, and it was grazed off his elbow. So it didn't even completely land with full intentions, with the full force. He says it was grazed. It slid off his elbow and then landed in the lower abdomen area, not in the solar plex, not in the diamond area, where you're taught to take a jab at the body, in the diamond, in the solar plex area. He says that's not where the punch landed. He says, so when he fell, yes, the air was knocked out of him, but it seems like he had already subconsciously threw in the towel. And so thus the reason why you saw his body respond in that manner. You saw him respond in that manner. He says mentally, I believe he checked out because he understood that he was at that point so far behind on the scorecards and had a true champion in front of him that he was in a hole so deep that he didn't believe he could dig himself out of. Now, see, my thoughts is this. I feel like Jeison Rosario, in the fight, I feel like, when Jermell Charlo landed that jab to the solar plex, I think it did have effect on his body. I think that, when he looked down, his feet wasn't moving. It was an out-of-body experience. He did try to roll over and get up, right? And maybe subconsciously, he did check out. He said to himself, wow, the moment is huge. This is what Floyd Mayweather always says. You could do whatever you feel, whatever happens in sparring, you take that as moral victories. But once you get under them lights, it's a whole different ballgame. And so, like I told you guys, the art of surprise, the element of surprise was taken from Jeison Rosario after he upset and defeated Julian J. Rock Williams in his backyard of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, homecoming fight that was supposed to be a showcase fight for Julian J. Rock Williams. The element of surprise was gone. The boxing world saw you coming. Jermell Charlo saw you coming. Jermell Charlo understood what you possess. He understood the threat that you possess, that you pose, should I say. And he was fully prepared for Jeison Rosario. Although Jeison Rosario is a very big puncher, Jermell Charlo was fully prepared for what Jeison Rosario was set to bring to the table. And I don't believe Jeison Rosario was fully prepared for what Jermell Charlo was bringing to the table. Like Jermell Charlo stated, I know he has a big punch. I know he could dish out a big punch. But I'm curious to see, can he absorb a big punch? Can he take a big punch? Everybody could dish it out, but can you take it? And we saw on numerous occasions now that he can't take it. We saw when Nathaniel Gallimore recovered in his first loss in his career, he hurt Nathaniel Gallimore in the first round. He hurt him in the second round badly. But once he recovered and started to return the favor to Jeison Rosario, he didn't respond like a champion. Now, he did take some big punches in the fight with Julian J. Rock Williams, but he was more so hurting J. Rock Williams at will, right? He was clearly he was the stronger man in the ring, and he hurt Julian J. Rock Williams at will. So that's motivation in the fight to keep pushing forward. And so he was able to stop Julian J. Rock Williams. That wasn't the case with Jermell Charlo. Jermell Charlo resistance to allow him to land big punches defensively was, I believe, frustrating him. He did land some heavy body shots, but Jermell Charlo's movement and agility, athletic ability, and then to have the same power, to pose the same power as he does himself in Jeison Rosario, I think that was a huge surprise to him. When Jermell Charlo chose to stand his ground, he was just as strong and just as big as Jeison Rosario. He had just as much power as Jeison Rosario. The difference is he was more accurate than Jeison Rosario. And so, like Teddy Atlas said, he didn't behave like a champion. But physically, I think his body gave up on him. Whether it was subconsciously shutting his body down because he already mentally chose to give up, that's a strong possibility. But at the end of the day, I do believe that, you know, the punch to the solar plex, I do believe it took a toll on him. Whether he was fatigued, whether his body had enough, and he just mentally checked out or not, his body at the end of the day gave up. Point blank and period. And I'm curious to see how he returns, because see, when he's not the front runner and don't have the element of surprise, he don't respond the same. So thus the reason why I cannot see him winning a world title unless Jermell Charlo eventually vacates the belts and moves up to 160. I really don't see Jeison Rosario being a world champion. Now I can see him beating Patrick Teixeira, but then what? That road leads back to Jermell Charlo. I think mentally he'll have a difficult time in a rematch with Jermell Charlo, should it even be talked about or come to fruition, more so than the first fight. So Teddy Atlas is under the belief that Jeison Rosario just didn't respond like a champion, and physically he gave up. Subconsciously, he said he had enough. He waved the white flag. So I'm curious to see how the rest of his career plays out. He can beat Patrick Teixeira and become the WBO junior middleweight world champion. He'll be a two-time world champion, right? But then what? Right? Because it's clear he struggles with slick boxers that have power and could absorb it but dish it back out. So can he beat an Erickson Hammer Lubin? Right? Can he repeat what he did against Julian J. Rock Williams? Right? Who knows? Could he beat Erislandy Lara? I don't think so. And I don't think that he could beat Swift Jarrett Hurd, because the pressure that Jarrett Hurd is going to bring to him, like Teddy Atlas said, pressure busts pipes, but it also pressure affects humans. And I'm under the same belief. And Swift Jarrett Hurd brings a lot of pressure, and he could absorb it. So I think it would be the same outcome as Jermell Charlo. But let's see how everything all plays out. Is Jeison Banana Rosario a one-hit wonder? Can he rectify his career? Did he check out mentally? Only the future will tell. But drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed? Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. Hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.